Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. So, been over a month, but I finally got around to seeing Daredevil. The reason this one took so long to get to, and part of the reason all of these reviews have taken so long to get to, is because, well, aside from the financial and scheduling issues I've been having, as I've said before, something else happened recently that actually kind of made me a little scared to continue doing this. For those of you who don't know, a lot of my inspiration comes from a lot of the people at, well, currently at and formerly of Channel Awesome. You might know them through that guy with the glasses. A lot of me doing this is based on me seeing a lot of them do it and wanting to try it. And some of the formats I use were even somewhat copied from them. For example, the URL right here, you usually see that at the bottom of most of the Nostalgia Critic videos, except for it's for their site. KT's actually told me at different times I need better lower thirds. I don't think he understood that that's what I was pulling from, and that's why it looks the way it does. Yes, I can do better lower thirds. I have the software to do it, but I chose for this one to look like this as a homage to the Nostalgia Critic. Another member, at least I think he's still a member, if not former member of Channel Awesome, is Brad Jones, the cinema snob. I've actually borrowed quite a bit from him. For example, back when I used to do these reviews sitting in my car, that's where I got it from. He has his midnight screenings, and it's him and his friends sitting in the car immediately after the movie and talking about it. I've since moved into the house just because my one, it was getting very cold out, and it was easier to sit in the house so I didn't die from hypothermia. And two, my other camera died, so I've had to use my webcam to record these since. And it's just easier to do that from inside than to try and work out in the car with a webcam, especially since my laptop is also dead now. So that whole thing was copied from him. The name of product placement was actually something he said as a one-off line during one of his episodes where he eats stuff. The whole concept of eating stuff I actually took from a former member named Lord Katz, if anybody's familiar with him. A lot of other things I do come from, well, hell, just the name The Rev Project, at least during the time that I'm using it, because there is a possible name change coming up within this year. That entire The Rev Project thing is a spin-off of, well, not a spin-off, but it's an homage to another former Channel Awesome member, the Spoonie Experiment. See, Experiment Project, get it? I think even part of my website background was taken from his site. Well, not directly. I liked the background, so I kind of copied it and modified it to my own use. So a lot of what I do is based on stuff they do. Back when I was originally going to do reviews of all my DVDs here, I was going to copy the format I've seen them use. However, as the Nostalgia Critic has recently said in a video, because the network they used to use closed down and they had to switch over to YouTube, and there's issues with the copyright system, they've had to change a lot of the way they do stuff. That's why you don't see any DVD reviews from me. Everything's kind of up in the air. Another thing that recently happened, and why I was hesitant to do not only this movie review, but any movie reviews, is Brad Jones was recently doing a midnight screening of Deadpool. Again, it's him and his friends sitting in a car right after the movie talking about it. They don't use any clips because it's still in the theater. How are they going to get clips? It's just two people sitting in a car, maybe 3, 4, sitting in a car talking. Same thing I used to do a long time ago. Not a whole lot different from this. And he got a copyright strike. He got his channel restricted, and it took him a while to get everything straightened back around. I think he did finally get it straightened around, but the fact that that happened kind of put me off as far as... It's the same thing like kind of when SOPA was going on. I kind of backed down from doing this because I didn't want to put a bunch of work into it to turn around and have everything taken down because of SOPA. And that's kind of the same situation I was in when that happened to Brad. So that's one reason I kind of halted doing movie reviews until now. Everything seems like it's kind of mellowing out. The problems still aren't fixed. They have a whole campaign right now called Where's the Fair Use? If you don't know about it, check it out. It actually goes into a lot of detail about why I decided to put a hiatus on everything. The thing is, they're bigger name channels. A lot of people know them. They have millions of subscribers. I'm small time. I have, 15 of you, 16 of you subscribers. So most likely I will go unnoticed by YouTube. However, if for some reason my video or channel or whatever were to get flagged for copyright and I was forced to appeal it and at the same time lost like monetization or lost my channel or any of that, I would have a lot harder time getting everything fixed than they would. They're a bigger name. They have a team of lawyers in their network. They have enough money that they've earned from ad revenue that they can pay for things like that. I've been doing this YouTube channel since 2011. I started it. Before that, I was live streaming since like 2008. So, and this is 2016 now, so almost 8 years in total I've been doing this. 5 years on YouTube, and I've made a total of like honestly $6 from ad revenue. It's not even enough to cash out and go into my bank account yet. I work a just above minimum wage job that barely covers my normal bills. If something were to happen to where I lost this channel, it would just be gone. Because honestly, according to YouTube's terms of service, once you have one channel taken away, you're not technically allowed to have another. I know some people do launch them under different names, but if it ever comes back that it's run by the same person and they catch wind of it, you'll lose that channel too. Now, the good part about me saying that, I really shouldn't be saying all this, because if I was a bigger channel that had trolls, everyone would probably be out copyrighting the crap that I do, just to try to shut me down because they think it's funny. So I guess it's a good thing that I only have 15 views, or 16 subscribers, whatever I'm trying to say. 15 subscribers, some views. I got a lot of views. But yeah, so that's kind of where I've been as far as movie reviews. Like I said, a lot of the stuff has mellowed out, but there is still a lot of issues with the fair usage through YouTube, where other platforms actually used to have a live person who understood fair use laws and implemented them. YouTube has an algorithm that Google came up with that's supposed to check for everything, and there's no human interaction. There's no 100% guaranteed way to fight when things come up. There's no repercussions on behalf of the content creators if there's a false accusation. Yeah, like I said, check out some of the recent videos on Where's the Fair Use to kind of understand like where my headspace is at. But like I said, for the most part, everything's sort of calmed down, but it's still an ongoing issue. So because everything started to calm down, I was like, okay, let me go ahead and start doing movie reviews, and I'll just kind of deal with it as it comes, because I was still doing product placements, and I mean, technically, any of the, like, Oreos could copyright claim, like, oh, you're eating our product on your video, we don't want that, and they could throw a copyright strike at me, and I would either have to take down all my videos where I've tried Oreos, I would lose monetization for them, or I could lose my entire channel, or my videos could get restricted to under 15 minutes. I've seen that happen to a few people too. So that's kind of where my headspace has been, but in the meantime, we're back to doing movie reviews, now under the title of After the Credits. So now that I've rambled about that for 10 minutes, let me actually tell you about Deadpool. What did I actually think of Deadpool? I think waiting 2 months almost to see it hurt it. I've heard so much hype about how great it was. When I went into it, I was expecting more than what it actually had. And like I said, that's probably just overhyping, which is why I usually try to avoid other people's reviews or hearing anything about the movie until I get a chance to see it myself. But, you know, it's one of those unavoidable things. But with that said, overall, it was a pretty decent movie. I'm not 100% familiar with everything in the Deadpool universe. Like, I know the character, I know the basics of who Deadpool is, what he does, how his comics play out, but I don't know every detail. So, comparing the movie to the comics, I couldn't really do all that. I did like that they had small nods to Ryan Reynolds playing other superheroes. Like in the opening shot, there's a picture of him as Green Lantern. At one point, right before he becomes Deadpool, they have a little figurine of his other version of Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. He even makes a joke about how the actor Ryan Reynolds can't actually act; he gets by on his good looks. So, you know, that fits into Deadpool's breaking the fourth wall and, you know, kind of being sarcastically funny. I almost kind of wish someone else other than Ryan Reynolds did that, because Ryan Reynolds does sarcastic banter real well, but at the same time, I've heard him do it so much, I'm kind of tired of hearing him do it. I'm kind of tired of every time, oh, we need a sarcastic guy. Well, let's get Ryan Reynolds, you know, because that's what he does. It's, you know, a handful of years ago, not so far back, within the last decade, that would have been, that could have easily been a Dane Cook role, because Dane Cook was known for that type of sarcasticness too. Although I don't think he would have fit as Deadpool quite as much. I'd rather see Ryan Reynolds over Dane Cook. But, you know, it's like, it seems like they're the only two people that ever get cast for that type of role, and I'm kind of tired of, well, Dane Cook's kind of disappeared over the last few years, but at least as far as I see. But Ryan Reynolds always kind of gets shoehorned into that, and I don't know, I kind of would like to have just seen maybe someone else take the helm on this one, but at the same time, you know, I understand why they went with it, because he did do a decent enough job as Deadpool in X-Men Origins. Yeah, what they did with this character at the end was a little messed up, but I think they could have salvaged that and led into this one, and not had to do a whole origin story, but at the same time, you know, that's what studios do, is do an origin story. So, with that said, like I said, it's a decent film. I think I just kind of let the hype get to me a little bit, and when I finally watched it, I was like, that's it. I think a lot of that also stems from the entire first half of the movie being shown in the trailer. And I mean, literally, like, this movie is an hour and 45 minutes, I think. So right around the 0 minute to about the 50, 52-ish minute mark was basically everything you saw in the trailer. We open, okay, going to get into the actual summary of the movie now, 14 minutes into this. We open on the bridge scene, and then it's kind of like well, how did we get here? And then it cuts back to him driving in this cab and going to the bridge, and then the cab drops him off in the middle of the bridge. He's sitting there drawing the picture and listening to Salt and Pepper on his Walkman. He jumps down, gets into the car. They have their little shootout. It causes the wreck. And then he kind of has another little how did we get here moment, and then it goes to what he was doing before he became Deadpool. It introduces his friend who says he looks like an avocado, that thing that you see in the trailer that's annoying as shit. It shows him meeting his girlfriend, them getting together, him finding out he has cancer, the guy from, I guess it's the Weapon X program, offering him the cure. Then it cuts back to the bridge scene and kind of introduces a couple new characters. Then it goes back to him being in the Weapon X program and how he got deformed the way he is. And then we go back to the bridge, and it introduces Colossus and I can't think of the other X-Men, little girl X-Men's name, or New Mutant, whatever the hell group she's from, but it introduces them, and then it goes back into his story about him becoming Deadpool, you know, like early creations of the suit. One thing I do like is they actually went through several stages of the suit before getting to the one that's actually used throughout the movie, which is one thing I always wish they had in other movies. Like, for example, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, they showed him like with the red hoodie with the spider painted on it, and then like the next scene after that, he's got the full spider suit. And I remember when we first saw that in theater, when we were leaving the theater, my friend was like, "Well, what'd you think?" I was like, "You know, it was okay, but the only thing I really would have changed is maybe had him do a couple more variations of building the spider suit before you just went from the red hoodie to the full-blown suit." And he was like, "Yeah, I can kind of see what you mean there." And this, in Deadpool, they did that. He starts out with a white suit, then he kind of modifies it to his red suit, then he remodifies the red suit to more what you got now. I'm sure there were probably a couple other stages in there, but those were like the main 3 or 4 that they showed. The white suit leading up to the current suit. So I do like that part. So then we leave the bridge scene, and then we start to kind of explore more of his origin story of him leaving the Weapon X program, when he meets the old blind lady, when he says, "Oh, it smells like lady pants in here." That whole thing explains like why they're living together and whatnot. Then it kind of cuts to what is essentially the finale, where he's going to confront the guy from the Weapon X thing, because the whole thing is he thinks the guy from the Weapon X program can fix his face and his body and make him back to normal, but still let him keep his mutant abilities, which cured his cancer. So he finds out where he's at. He asks Colossus and the other girl to kind of help him. He does make a little comment about why there's only 2 X-Men in this movie, and it's almost like the studio couldn't afford to have any others. So, haha, little nod towards the camera there. Breaking the fourth wall, which Deadpool's known for. Then they have their confrontation, and it plays out about how you would expect it to. Not going to go into too much detail about it, because I don't want to spoil the movie too much for anybody, because like I said, it's a decent movie. I just let the hype get to me. The one thing I want to comment about Colossus is they never actually show him powered down. It's like he's constantly in metal form. And it's been a while since I actually followed any of the X-Men books, probably since my teenage years, so probably 15 to 20 years almost since I actually paid that close of attention to X-Men. I don't know if Colossus always stays in metal form now, but I remember he used to like power down back to his human form, and he'd only like metal up when it was time for battle, which they kind of did in the X-Men movies when they were introducing him, but now he's a lot bigger, and he's always metal, and he has a heavier Russian accent. So I've heard a lot of people say they finally got Colossus right. I thought he was decent in the little bit that he was in the X-Men movies. But like I said, I don't know how he compares to now, so I can't really say too much about that. I just kind of wish, if he does still power down at all, that they would have let him do it at least once, but then they would have had to pay another actor, where this one, Colossus, was pretty much, I don't want to say all CG, but for as big as he was, he would have had to have been mostly CG. Yeah, so that's, the movie kind of plays out. You know, you have your big dramatic battle, your big dramatic ending, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. There's a little bit after the credits. Not going to say exactly what it is. I kind of recognized it as soon as it happened, and I was like, oh, wow, they're playing off of that. That's kind of cute, just because it's a fourth wall breaking moment from a movie from back when I was a kid. More or less, it's kind of Deadpool saying, what, were you expecting like a little teaser for Deadpool 2? Well, guess what, you're not getting it, but I will tell you, I don't want to tell you what he tells you, but he does give a little spoiler for what you're going to expect to see in the next movie. Basically, another character that they're going to be using. He does say they haven't cast it yet as of the time of that movie, so he's not sure who it's going to be or what's going to happen. But he expects it to be awesome, and then it ends. So yeah, that's more or less Deadpool. As far as a star rating, had I saw it back when it first opened, like I was planning on doing, because even when I wasn't seeing any other movies, I was still going to see Deadpool. I was still going to see Batman v Superman, which I'm going to get to probably this coming week, because it just opened last week. Those were, like, any of the comic book movies were the main ones I was still going to go try to see. This one I ended up waiting a while, and because I let the hype get to me a little bit, I'm probably going to knock the rating down a little bit more than it deserves, but it's still going to be a fairly high rating. And just because of my own personal holdups with this, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of... Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. I was like, well, maybe I could push it to a 4, because that's still not saying it's a perfect film. But, yeah, I think a 3.5 is fitting for it. A little bit closer to a 4, though. Like I said, if I did like 3/4 stuff or like quarter stars or whatever, it'd probably be closer to 3 3/4. I'd only lose a little bit because of the hype, but because I stick with halves or wholes, we're going to go the 3.5 side as opposed to the 4. Like I said, it is what it is, but there's a lot more that I know of Deadpool that I'm kind of waiting to see where they're going to go in future installments, if we get future installments, which they already said they're planning a second one. If I remember right, in the Deadpool comics, his love interest is a female embodiment of death, which isn't the girlfriend that he's currently with in the movie, so I'm kind of interested to see when and if they're going to pick that up, or if they're just going to have him stick with this girl that he's with now, which, if I remember right, he was with a girl that died at one point, and actually that might be who became the embodiment. I don't know, it's been so long since I've actually followed Deadpool, I'd have to go back and look. Everything I'm saying could be completely wrong. But yeah, that's Deadpool. So, that's it for this review. Sorry about the almost 7 or 8 minute long-winded thing at the beginning, but I wanted to get it out there why movie reviews were taking so long and what the issue was. So it is there, and like I said, definitely take a look at the Where's the Fair Use stuff, because it does affect all of us as creators. Like I said, I got not only this small library here, but my entire library of DVDs in storage whenever I get back to them that I would love to do reviews on. It's just a matter of figuring out what format I can use to where I'm not going to have an issue with fair use and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that is it for this episode. There is going to be a couple more coming up. My day off is tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow is my day off. Don't know if I'll see anything my first day off, because I do work night shifts, so I'll be leaving, and then leaving work, and that officially starts my day off. But then I have that night and then the entire next day, so probably that next day I'll go see a couple movies, plus that's payday, so I'll have some money. I think there's still 3 here at the main theater that I want to see. One of them I already told you was Batman v Superman. I think there's 1 up the street at the other theater, which I'll probably do Tuesday, because that's the discount day up there, so I don't have to pay $12 for a movie ticket. I pay $6. And then I think there's 1 or 2 still over at the Dollar Theater if I ever get over there. If they're still playing by the time I get over there, I should say. So yeah, that's it. So there's at least 7 more movies coming up, hopefully, that I'm going to see and do reviews on. If not, there's some product placement stuff coming up. Beyond those, I don't know. I'm going to try to start getting back into some gameplay. So we'll see where that goes. And like I said, there's other stuff I would love to do. It's just there's these issues that I have to figure out a format for and go from there. So, yeah. That's it for this episode. Not going to take up any more of your time. Again, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and share the video. Links should be down there or up here. I always got to figure out which side I'm pointing on. It's away from the microphone. Up here. Follow me on all the social stuff that's in the links. My neighbors are randomly yelling about something. Yeah. So that's it for today. As always, again, thank you for watching. And until next time, we will see you after the credits.